And good morning. Hello, it is Saturday morning. And you all know what Saturday is for us here. It is AA day. Yay! So I'm connected on Facebook and YouTube. Wait a couple minutes. It's been a long day. It was a long night. Just one of those nights. Anyway, of course, you can hear Copper in the background chomping on his toy because he thinks every time I go live, he needs to be chewing on something. Or trying to flop on my laptop. He's a crazy dog. So, I'm Sandra. I'm an alcoholic. And just some easy rules to follow. Please don't pass judgment on people that come into the chat or leaving comments. This is for helping others to get sober, stay sober, have family members, learning ways to help a family member. This is all about becoming sober. So, and everybody helping each other in their times that they don't think that they have somebody that will listen. Which I know how that feels. But anyway, so I just wanted to say thank you guys for being here. It's been a long ride for me doing AA here for a year and a half. I can't believe it's been that long. But we are almost done with the traditions book, the steps and traditions, so I might figure out another thing that we can read that will help us stay sober, or I don't know, I'm running out of things. But nevertheless, I'm still sober. I'm happy to be sober no matter what. And I'm glad to be here and pass it on to the next person. So, we're going to go ahead and say the Serenity Prayer and then get into the meeting. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. No, it's not all about God in AA. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So I also put what book we're in the description on my YouTube page, and we're in 12 traditions, and we are on tradition 3. I put it in the description below. Today is day 15, no cigarette. And the bad thing is I'm going with no caffeine as well, so I've got jitters. My body's saying, hey, you're mixing the caffeine. Tradition 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. This tradition is packed with meaning, for AA is really saying to every serious drinker, you are an AA member if you say so. You can declare yourself in. Nobody can keep you out. No matter who you are, no matter how long you've gone, no matter how you gave your emotional complications, even your crimes, we still can't deny you AA. We don't want to keep you out. We aren't a bit afraid you'll harm us, never mind how twisted or violent you may be. We just want to be sure that you get the same great chance for sobriety that we've had. So you're an AA member the minute you declare yourself. To establish this principle of membership took years of harrowing experience. In our early time, nothing seemed so fragile, so easily breakable as an AA group. Hardly an alcoholic we approached paid any attention. Most of those who did join us were like flickering candles in a windstorm. Time after time, their uncertain flame blew out and couldn't be relighted. Our unspoken, constant thought was, which of us may be the next? A member gives us a vivid glimpse of those days at a time. He says every AA group had many membership rules. Everybody was scared witless that something or somebody would capsize the boat and dump us all back into the drink. Our foundation office asked each group to send in its list of protective regulations. The total list was a mile long. If all those rules had been in effect everywhere, nobody could have possibly joined AA at all. So great was the sum of our anxiety and fear. This dog over here. We were resolved to admit nobody to AA but that hypothetical class of people we term pure alcoholics, except for their guzzling, and the unfortunate results thereof. They could have no other complications, so beggars, tramps, asylums, inmates, prisoners, queers, plain crackpots, and fallen women were definitely out. Yes, sir, we cater only to pure and respectable alcoholics. Any others would surely destroy us. Besides, if we took in those odd ones, what would decent people say about us? We built a fine mesh fence right around AA. Maybe this sounds comical now. Maybe you think we old timers were pretty intolerant, but I can tell you there was nothing funny about the situation then. We were grim because we felt our lives and homes were threatened, and that was no laughing matter. Intolerant, you say? Well, we were frightened. Naturally, we began to act like most everybody does when afraid. After all, isn't fear the true bias of intolerance? Yes, we were intolerant. Just a second. How could we then guess that all those fears were to prove groundless? How could we know that thousands of these sometimes frightening people were to make astonishing recoveries and become our greatest workers and intimate friends? Was it credible that AA was to have a divorce rate far lower than average? Could we then foresee that troublesome people were to become our principal teachers of patience and tolerance? Could any then imagine a society which would include every convincible kind of character and cut across every barrier and race, creed, politics, and language with ease? Why did AA finally drop all its membership regulations? Why did we leave it to each newcomer to decide himself whether he was an alcoholic or whether he should join us? Why did we dare to say, contrary to the experience of society and government everywhere, that we would neither punish nor deprive any AA membership, that we must never compel anyone to pay anything, believe anything, or conform to anything? The answer now seen in tradition great with simplicity itself. At last, experience taught us that to take away any alcoholic's full chance was sometimes to pronounce his death sentence, and often to condemn him to endless misery. Who dared to be judge, jury, the executioner of his own sick brother? As group after group saw these possibilities, they finally abandoned all membership regulations. One dramatic experience after another clinched this determination until it became our universal tradition. Here are two examples. On the AA calendar, it was year 2. In that time, nothing could be seen but two struggling, nameless groups of alcoholics trying to hold their faces up to the light. A newcomer appeared at one of these groups, knocked on the door, and asked to be let in. He talked frankly with that group's oldest member. He soon proved that his was a desperate case, and that above all he wanted to get well. But, he asked, will you let me join your group? Since I am the victim of another addiction, even worse stigmatized than alcoholism, you may not want me among you, or will you? There was a dilemma. What should the group do? The oldest member summoned two others and in confidence laid the explosive pack in their laps. Said he, "Well, what about it? If we turn this man away, he'll soon die. If we allow him in, only God knows what trouble he'll brew. What shall the answers be, yes or no?" At first the elders could look only at the objections. "We deal," they said, "with alcoholics only. Shouldn't we sacrifice this one for the sake of the many?" So went the discussion while the newcomer's fate hung in the balance. Then one of the three spoke in a very different voice. "What are we really afraid of?" he said. I lost my spot again. "With alcoholics only, shouldn't we sacrifice this one for the sake of the many?" So went the discussion while the newcomer's fate hung in the balance. Then one of the three spoke in a very different voice. "What we are really afraid of," he said, "is our reputation. We are much more afraid of what people might say than the trouble that this strange alcoholic might bring. As we've been talking, 5 short words have been running through my mind. Something keeps repeating to me. What would the master do?" Not another word was said. What more indeed could be said? Overjoyed, the newcomer plunged into 12-step work. Tirelessly he laid AA's message before scores of people. Since this was a very early group, those scores have since multiplied themselves into thousands. Never did he trouble anyone with his other difficulty. AA had taken its first step in the formation of Tradition 3. Not long after the men with the double stigma knocked for admission, AA's other group received into its membership a salesman we shall call Ed. A power driver, this one, and brash as any salesman could possibly be. He had at least an idea a minute on how to improve AA. These ideas he sold to below members with the same burning enthusiasm with which he distributed automobile polish. But he had one idea that wasn't so sellable. Ed was an atheist. His pet obsession was that AA could get along better without its God nonsense. He browbeat everybody, and everybody expected that he'd soon get drunk. For at the time, you see, AA was on the pious side. There must be a heavy penalty, it was thought, for blasphemy. Disgustingly enough, Ed proceeded to stay sober. At length the time came for him to speak in a meeting. We shivered, for we knew what was coming. He paid a tribute to the fellowship. He told how his family had been reunited. He extolled the virtue of honesty. He recalled the joys of 12-step work. And then he lowered the boom, cried Ed. I can't stand this God stuff. It's a lot of malarkey for weak folks. This group doesn't need it, and I won't have it. To hell with it. A great wave of outraged resentment engulfed the meeting, sweeping every member to a single resolve. Out he goes. The elder led Ed aside, then said firmly, You can't talk like this around here. You'll have to quit it or get out. With great sarcasm, Ed came back at them. Now do tell. Is that so? He reached over to a bookshelf and took up a shelf of papers. On top of them lay a foreword to the book Alcoholics Anonymous. Then under preparation, he read aloud. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. Relentlessly, Ed went on. When you guys wrote that sentence, did you mean it or didn't you? This made the elders look at one another, for they knew he had them cold. So Ed stayed. Ed not only stayed, he stayed sober. Month after month, the longer he kept dry, the louder he talked against God. The group was in a anguish so deep that all fraternal charity had vanished. When, oh when, groaned members to one another, will that guy get drunk? Quite a while later, Ed got a sales job which took him out of town. At the end of a few days, the news came in. He'd sent a telegram for money, and everybody knew what that meant. Then he got on the phone. In those days, we'd go anywhere on 12-step job. No matter how unpromising, but this time nobody stirred. Leave him alone. Let him try it by himself for once. Maybe he'll learn a lesson. About 2 weeks later, Ed stole by night into an AA member's house and, unknown to the family, went to bed. Daylight found the master of the house and another friend drinking their morning coffee. A noise was heard on the stairs. To their consternation, Ed appeared, a quizzical smile on his lips. He said, Have you fellows had your morning meditation? They quickly sensed that he was quite in earnest. In fragments, his story came out. In a neighboring state, Ed had holed up in a cheap hotel. After all his pleas for help had been rebuffed, these words rang in his fevered mind. They have deserted me. I have been deserted by my own kind. This is the end. Nothing is left as he tossed on his bed. His hands brushed the bureau nearby, touching the book. Opening the book, he read. It was a Gideon Bible. Ed never confided any more of what he saw and felt in that hotel room. It was the year 1938. He hasn't had a drink since. Nowadays, when old-timers who know Ed foregather, they exclaim, what if we had actually succeeded in throwing Ed out for blasphemy, whatever that word is? What would have happened to him and all the others he later helped? So the hand of Providence early gave us a sign that any alcoholic is a member of our society when he said so. I highlighted, well, didn't highlight because I don't have a highlighter. So I believe in something. I have a higher power, and the higher power is what I make it. Because AA cannot turn you away no matter what. We should not turn you away. We can call for you to get help. We can refer you to things that you can do, places you can go. And that's what AA is about. And that is why I'm doing these here on YouTube and Facebook, because I got this gift for free and I'm willing and able to say, hey, it works. I'm an old timer now. I've got 9 years. I feel like an old timer because all of this speaks to me. Every time I read these, it sends chills through my body to know that I'm doing this. I'm doing it for me, not for anyone else. And that's what I needed. That's what I needed to begin it. I had to admit to me my issues. And by doing that, these things, by opening my mind and thinking, okay, in a different perspective, how's this person feeling? They might be feeling exactly how I was when I first started. And it's scary. Heck yeah, it is. I'm scared that I'm going to go back out and drink because I don't want to. And to me, that's a better feeling than going out and doing that. Because when I first started AA, I did have all those dreams. I cut out the music with alcohol. I quit going in the grocery store down that aisle. I quit doing a whole bunch of things. And then I started realizing I can't cut everything out of my life just because I'm sober. That doesn't mean that I can't be around people. It doesn't mean that I can't go to a friend's house who is having a drink, because it's up to me to say no. It's up to me to either leave or hang out. And I have to be the one to make that choice for me. And I've learned that. And I learned that I can walk away from it. That was the hard part before. So tradition 3, this is what got me, which is the first paragraph. This tradition is packed with meaning, for AA is really saying to every serious drinker, you are an AA member because you say so. You say so. You. Not me, not the next person, not the person down the road. You. No matter, or you can declare yourself in. Nobody can keep you out. No matter who you are, no matter how low you've gone, no matter how grave your emotional complications, even your crimes, we still can't deny you AA, and we don't want to. AA, we don't want to keep you out. We aren't a bit afraid you'll harm us. Never mind how twisted or violent you may be. We just want to be sure that you get the same great chance for sobriety that we've had. So you're an AA member the minute you declare yourself. Yep. When you say, not when someone else says it, when you say, it's hard, you have your days, your bad days, your good days. I'm very thankful that I found AA and that I've done my steps, that I work my steps, that I talk to people. I'm sharing my story. I have a voice and I'm using it because when I was in my, when I was in my bad days of my alcoholism, I realized that after I started AA that the person I was when I was drinking was somebody who needed the help, and I got the help. I got the calling. I got the come to AA. It works. I have a voice now, and I use it. Before I wouldn't. Coming up and telling my story, yes, I'm nervous. I'm shaking because every time I go live, I worry that because I'm doing this by myself, to me by myself, but in reality, I'm doing it for all of you and myself to let you know that you can do it and you are worth it. And your family members are worth it too. Just remember, you gotta tell them you love them. And think about you're hurting yourself. If you're still drinking, you might be hurting yourself. But you can come out. You can make it out of it. You just have to want it. That's my strongest saying. You have to want it. You, not me. You have to do it for you. You can't do it for somebody else because you can't. If you try to hold somebody else accountable for your drinking, it's not going to work because you have to hold yourself accountable for your drinking because if you don't, you could go back out there. And I know when I first started on my sobriety journey, I swore that I would never drink again, and I learned I can't say that because tomorrow's not here. But I'm here now, and I'm sober still. And AA is the best thing for me. And it can help anybody with anything, basically, because there's no judgment there. And that's why I always start my meetings with there's no judgment. So, exactly. That's me too, Lil. Um, but my sister got sober with me as well. We're 8 months. She's 8 months behind me, but we are sober and we are happy. We get along great. We're best friends. We're neighbors. It's a good life. I don't like where I live, but it's better than nowhere. And just being sober. Just being sober. You're late. I'm almost done now. I know, I see you there. But yeah. And Tuesday we'll read Tradition 4. So I've only been here for 37 minutes. Usually I do my meetings for an hour, but when you're doing the traditions, they're kind of short, unless if you read the long form in the back. Oh, well, they're not long form either. I have new stickers for my adventures. Yes, it's better late than not. Yep, that is very true. Better late than never. Always. I'm making copies.
Just this one.
Alright, anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will be posting the daily reflection on my wall on Facebook, and we're going to come over here and I will read it to you guys. And if you don't have an AA meeting daily reflection thing on your phone or your tablet or whatever you've got, download one. They all have most of them that I've seen anyways, have the books on there, they have the steps on there, they have the traditions on there, they have your sobriety birth date on there, they have yeah, it's very informational. So yeah, definitely do that. Anyways, I'm going to say the Serenity Prayer and then I'll come over here and read the daily reflection. Alright. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Thank you for coming. Gotta wait. Okay. See, mine has these. I don't know if you can see them very good. March 16th. as we understand him. My friend suggests what then seemed a novel idea. Why don't you choose your own conception of God? That statement hit me hard. It melted the icy intellectual mountain of in whose shadow I had lived and shivered many years. I stood in the sunlight at last. It was only a matter of being willing to believe in a power greater than myself. Nothing more was required of me to make my beginning. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 12. Hello, Lucky. I remember the times I looked up into the sky and reflected on who started it all and how. When I came to AA, an understanding of some description of the spiritual dimension became a necessary adjunct to a stable sobriety. After reading a variety of versions, including the scientific of a great explosion, I went for simplicity and made the God of my understanding the great power that made the explosion possible. With the vastness of the universe under his command, he would no doubt be able to guide my thinking and actions if I was prepared to accept his guidance. But I could not accept or expect help if I turned my back on that help and went my own way. I became willing to believe, and I have had 26 years of stable and satisfying sobriety. Amen to that. And with that, I love you all. And please feel free to watch the replay. Um, if you'd like, subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to. You don't have to because I know it's not something that everybody likes to share at this point. But I'm doing it for a purpose, and it makes me feel better knowing that I am helping. So with that, I love you guys. Please stay safe, stay sober. Um, if you need help, please reach out. Please reach out. I love you guys.